Hello, grade 7, good morning. We shall begin this week 13 with your literature class. You still have me, I am teacher Frances. Are you ready? Please prepare with you your student anthology book, your literary companion, and your pen. This week you are going to have two selections entitled Tehuti or Thoth, God of Knowledge, and Prometheus from Heroes, Gods, and Monsters of the Greek Myths. Open your student anthology on pages 388 until 398. For our review, remember we had the epic last week entitled Sundiata, King of Mali. We also made use of the two different figurative language, which were not taken literally, but they implied more or deeper meaning than the literal. We make use of metaphor whenever we do comparison and symbol whenever we try to represent something. Got it? Let us now mention our set of objectives. The first one, I can define the vocabulary in the selections or myths. I can tell the story elements, and I can compare points of view from the selection. We are going to have unlocking of difficulties. We are going to define each word in the new set as you are going to meet them as you read the two selections on Thoth and Prometheus. Our first word, say attest. Attest is a verb which means to say or to state that something is true. That's attest. Next, say infested. Infested is a verb also which means filled in a threatening or unpleasant way. That's infested. Next, vanquishing. Say vanquishing. It is a noun which means defeat or lose. Say vanquishing. Great. How about this word? Say satiated. Satiated is a verb which means completely satisfied. That's satiated. Next, say explicit. It is an adjective which means clearly stated. That's explicit. Endow. Say endow. It is a verb which means to provide or give something as a gift. That's endow. Next, say caprice. Caprice is a noun which means sudden shift in mood or feeling. That's caprice. We also have the word vaunting. Say vaunting. It is an adjective which means excessively boastful or showing excessive or too much pride. That's vaunting. And for our last word, say speculations. Again, speculations. It is a noun which means theories, opinions, or point of view, or conclusions made without evidence or basis in facts. That's speculations. Now, it's your turn, students, to read the two selections. The first one, it's entitled Tehuti or Thoth, the God of Knowledge. Open your student anthology on pages 388 until 393. Allow me to give you the background. The ancient Egyptians believed that the cosmos, or what we call universe, was a chaotic place. When we say chaotic, it is a lot of confusions and it's really disorganized or disorder. They appealed to their gods and goddesses to bring order to the world. Primary among the gods was Ra. The name is Ra, also known as the creator and sun god. According to the ancient myth, Ra was born each day at dawn, traveled by boat across the sky, and then descended into the underworld to fight monsters until he could be reborn. Tehuti was Ra's navigator and representative. His job was to keep Ra alive during his journey and maintain the balance of order and chaos in the universe. As the god of the moon and wisdom, Tehuti restored wounded gods and gave the gift of medicine to human beings. Take your time in reading now. Continue reading on pages 394 until 398 for your second selection entitled Prometheus. From Heroes, Gods, and Monsters of the Greek Myths. In Greek mythology, Prometheus, the god of fire, and Zeus, the god of the sky or the god of all gods, had a long history of not getting along. Both were sons of Titans. When Zeus went to war against the Titans, he and Prometheus fought on opposite sides. Prometheus joined forces with his enemy only shortly before the Titans' defeat. Zeus became king of the gods, now called the Olympians. According to one version of the myth, Zeus later angered Prometheus by taking away humans' ability to make fire, a gift Prometheus had bestowed. However, as this story begins, humanity has no living memory of fire. Take your time reading until page 398. After which we shall proceed with your critical thinking questions. Continue, get a copybook. Let us read the questions and answer them one by one, found on your page 399. First one, we have to interpret. We read the first two paragraphs of Tehuti or Thoth, the god of knowledge, then answer. First, what does the narrator mean by describing Tehuti as Ra's tongue and but an instrument? Then, cite details in the story to explain the truth about Tehuti's relationship to Ra. Take your time in answering. Okay, it could be Tehuti is Ra's representative. He translates Ra's words for others. Some people assume this means that Tehuti is of a lower rank than Ra. Then, for our details in the story explaining the truth about Tehuti's relationship to Ra, it could be, as the narrator explains, the truth was without Tehuti, Ra couldn't make it through a day. Ra might be the sun god and creator god, but he cannot perform his functions without Tehuti's help. We have to analyze. A rhetorical question is a question a writer asks and leaves unanswered in order to engage readers and make a point. Now, what point does the narrator make at the end of Tehuti or Thoth, god of knowledge, by asking, isn't wisdom the most important virtue? I repeat, isn't wisdom the most important virtue? You start writing your answer. Okay, it could be, the narrator wants readers to think about the value of wisdom, whether this trait makes Tehuti the most important god. The narrator seems to hope readers will agree that he is. Get it? Then we have to evaluate, explain the two sides of the argument Zeus and Prometheus have over Zeus' design for humankind. And for letter B, which side do you find more convincing? So we have to explain it here. The first one, Zeus argues that humans are not content without fire. He notes that every gift brings a penalty. So, if humans were to obtain the power of fire, they would be less likely to worship the gods. Prometheus argues that humans are miserable without fire and suggests that humans would be more interesting if they had access to eat. So which side do you find more convincing? It could be you agree with Prometheus' first point that humans are miserable without fire. Zeus' design is cruel and selfish. We have to compare and contrast in number 4 by citing some similarities and differences. How are Tehuti and Prometheus similar and different in their dealings with humankind? Cite details from both myths. By helping Ra to survive in his journey across the sky and through the underworld, each day and night, Tehuti helps maintain order for humans as well as gods. His gift of words and writing helps transform humans into orderly, self-aware beings. Prometheus defies Zeus in order to give humans the gift of fire. Prometheus seems to feel more passionately about humanity than Tehuti does. Although Tehuti faces the dreadful task of fighting monsters every night, he does not seem to suffer as much as Prometheus does when Zeus punishes him for his generosity to humans. Number 5, we have to explain what aspects of the natural world do the stories about Tehuti and Prometheus explain. So we could have the story of Tehuti or Thoth, the god of knowledge, explains the cycle of life. When we say cycle, this is a series of events that are regularly repeated in the same order. So how's that cycle of life? It's how Ra is born each morning, matures into an adult during the day, and becomes an old man at night, isn't it? It also explains how the calendar works and how humans learned the basic things to read, write, and invent business, science, and religion. The story of Prometheus, on the other hand, explains how humanity learned to make fire and how civilization developed as a result. The last one, we have to make a judgment. Which mythical figure among the two, Tehuti or Prometheus, do you find to be more appealing and why? Choose between the two and write your answer. Alright, it could be Tehuti is more appealing character because he is capable and modest. He does a lot of things he does not get full credit for, like helping Ra survive the underworld each night. Unlike Prometheus, who defies Zeus, Tehuti supports and cares for his fellow gods and for humanity too. Like Prometheus, he suffers every day on behalf of others. As continuation of your second day lesson in literature, we have analyze and compare points of view. Open your literary companion on pages 242 until 243. Reading skill, which is to analyze and compare points of view. Let us read the text. Point of view, or also known as perspective, can describe what the narrator or characters think about a story's events and characters. Authors drop or give hints or clues about point of view in the narrator's choice of words and in the character's words, thoughts or thinking, and actions. Point of view is not always consistent or not always the same throughout a story. It can change as a consequence of a character's actions or a plot event. When we say plot, this is the sequence or the arrangement of events from the beginning up until the end. So for short, point of view is the narrator's position in relation to how a story is being told. Got it? Let's focus on these examples. For number 1, at the beginning of the myth entitled Tehuti or Thoth, God of Knowledge, the one that you've read, the truth was without Tehuti, Ra couldn't make it through a day. So, with this, we could say that the narrator, according to the point of view, the narrator views Tehuti with admiration and respect. When we say admiration, it is synonymous with respect. This is something regarded as impressive or worthy of respect. That's admiration. On the other hand, for example number 2, we have this from the myth at the end. The narrator reinforces this point of view. One might conclude Tehuti was the most important god, for isn't wisdom the most important virtue? The narrator suggests that Tehuti is more important than Ra. Very good. Let us complete this table on narrator's point of view of Tehuti. For our evidences, we have the examples number 1 and number 2. On the first one, we have the truth was without Tehuti, Ra couldn't make it through a day. Based on it, the point of view of the narrator is Tehuti with admiration and respect. And for the second one might conclude Tehuti was the most important god. The narrator suggests that Tehuti is more important than Ra. For our analysis or understanding, the narrator's point of view of Tehuti does not change during the story. The narrator consistently or is the same, showing admiration and respect to the god. For number 1, we have to read the excerpts from the beginning and the end of Prometheus. Underline the language that reveals the narrator's point of view concerning Prometheus. And the first one, Prometheus was a young titan, no great admirer of Zeus. Although he knew the great lord of the sky hated explicit questions, he did not hesitate to beard him when there was something he wanted to know. So from here, where are the language or words that reveal the narrator's point of view? Make a line. We could have, alright, the young titan or a young titan, no great admirer of Zeus. He did not hesitate to beard him. Alright, how about for the second one? And when the friend of man was bound to the mountain, Zeus sent 2 vultures to hover about him forever, tearing at his belly and eating his liver. Many centuries he lay there, until another hero was born, brave enough to defy the gods. So where are the language or words that reveal the narrator's point of view? Underline them. Alright, we have the friend of man. Another hero was born, brave enough to defy the gods. Great work. Alright, students, we are now on number 2. In the first column of the chart, write the language or the words we've underlined on number 1. Then describe the narrator's point of view in the second column. Alright? So, for number 1, or in the first box, we've underlined a young titan, no great admirer of Zeus, and he did not hesitate to beard him. So this suggests that the narrator thinks Prometheus, because of the word young, is young, perhaps a little bit reckless, and boldly disrespectful, not showing respect at all to Zeus. And for the second one, we've underlined the friend of man. Another hero was born, brave enough to defy the gods. This shows that the narrator now admires Prometheus in contrary to the first one, considering him a friend of humanity and now a brave hero in the myth. So number 3, or the analysis part, will serve as your homework. Got it? What are you going to write there for analysis? By the end of the myth, has the narrator's point of view changed or stayed the same? Why? Write your answer in the third column of the chart in number 2. Based on our point of view, you could already tell there. Did it change or no? As a wrap-up for this week's lesson on literature, you have to remember the different story elements based on the 2 myths that we had, Tehuti or Thoth, a god of knowledge, and Prometheus on your those 2 selections for this week. And you have to also bear in mind what point of view is. That is, describing what a narrator or characters think about a story's events or different happenings and the characters. And your homework, write on the third column for number 2, your analysis. This has been Teacher Frances. Goodbye, grade 7 students.